It's Lex. Shocking, I know. Anyway, if you hear any moaning or groaning, it's not me. It's the puppy. She is right here with me. And if you're surprised to see this makeup look, it's because you're getting a sneak peek on what the makeup look is going to be for tomorrow. If it seems awfully bold, then you would be correct. It is. It's bold on purpose, but I will let Tuesday me explain why. But today, on the theme of women's rights and fashion and, what it is that we're saying about ourselves when it comes to fashion, I wanted to continue that conversation. I think it's a very important conversation to have. I think these are things that we should be aware of, and I think we should hold each other accountable for when it comes to keeping each other safe and not judging or hurting anyone just because of your own insecurities. So, yeah, but today's topic is pretty much fashion as a political statement and how clothing can reflect power, identity, and ideally, social change. So, let's get started. Sorry, I had to adjust. The puppy left me. Anyway, so I guess we can start with talking about the women's suffrage. I actually recently saw a musical called Suffs with my sister Kelly, and I absolutely loved it. And this kind of plays along in that idea, that realm, the historical context of it. They didn't really talk about fashion necessarily, but they did have a woman that they chose to be sort of their image, their voice. And they chose a woman specifically who they deemed was very beautiful and entrancing and used her beauty to get the attention of anybody who would listen. Because at that time, in the newspapers and the comics, they made women seem very just like savages, I guess, which shocking, I know. Savages in the sense of their uncouth, their lack of femininity, they're very masculine, and those at the time were considered bad traits to have when you are a woman. So to fight that battle, and this is going into the fashion aspect of it, I mean, obviously they chose a woman who was very feminine and very beautiful, but in terms of when it comes to fashion, women specifically wore white. They chose white because it was a symbol of purity, which of course men would accuse women who were fighting to have rights that they were impure. And also because everyone wore white, it was a symbol of solidarity as well. So when they went to marches, when they, fought to have their rights. And when I say they fought, there were men, there were police officers that would beat these women in the streets to the inch of their life. I'm saying violence against women was nothing new, but it shouldn't be called violence against women. It should be men being violent towards women, right? Because when you say violence against women, you take men out of that sentence. Women did nothing to deserve the violence that was against them. So why is it violence against women? Why isn't it men who were violent? Violent men towards women, right? It cannot be one or the other. It cannot just be that women received violence. It was that men were violent to women, right? And that's the difference here. And in a lot of cases, you'll notice that men are often taken out of the phrase or the conversation, right? People talk about how many women were, sensually attacked, against their will. But they don't talk about how many men were the ones who did the attacking, right? And so it's just that perpetuation of somehow this is a woman's fault. Somehow women are doing something where they deserve this, and yet men are never put into that equation. I guess it's assumed that men do this, but the word man is never in the phrase of when women are attacked, right? And so the onus somehow is always on the woman. If she's attacked, what was she wearing? Where was she? What did she say? What did she do to make him believe that, there was something? How do we know that she didn't want this? Did she say something, And so once again, it's always her fault. So again, this patriarchy. But yeah, so along with that, women wore white. And when women were beaten, and I mentioned this last week, when white gets dirty or you have blood stains on white, it shows up. It is there and you can see it. So this was just one of those ways, again, not only to show solidarity and purity, but to also, when it was dirtied, when there was blood on their white, it's because somebody did that to them. And it wasn't them who did the impurity, right? Somebody messed up their pure white colored clothing. Anyway, today you'll notice that women, especially Congresswomen, will wear all white just to kind of reference back to the women's suffrage. And the fact that we still have to do that, we have to still fight to have rights, the fact that we are losing rights, bodily autonomy, the fact that my niece and the little girls in my life that I love more than anything have less rights than my mother when she grew up. Like, that's insane. That is insane. But yeah, the other thing is, and this one's kind of, it's very iconic. When you see it, you know it. And I love this. I love this look because it does look rebellious and badass and amazing. It would be the Black Panther, the Black Panther Party, and their fashion as a tool for revolution. I love the black leather jackets, the berets. I mean, the fact that the sunglasses, they had a uniform. They showed unity. And when you saw this, you immediately recognized it as Black power. And it is such a powerful fashion statement, political statement. And I would love to see that again. I feel like showing that, wearing something in solidarity like that, like it's a uniform, it shows power and strength. A lot like the pussy hats that we saw when 45 was first elected in 2016, and you had the Women's March, and all these women were wearing the pussycat hats, where they were these pink square hats, and then if you put them on your head, the cat ears came out, and it was a statement, and anybody could make these hats, and that's what made them so accessible and so easy to recognize, and such a symbol for the Women's March and the movement. But yeah, so again, this whole idea, the style for the Black Panthers Party was specifically about the imagery of power and unity and defiance. And it was when they were carrying guns in Washington, D.C., that suddenly the right to carry freely was something that people were now afraid of allowing. And it is simply because if Black people could do it because it was within their rights, it's in the law, then then all of a sudden white people felt like they were in danger, even though they had the same rights that, black people had to carry guns like this. And now all of a sudden your right to bear arms publicly, carrying a weapon was no longer allowed. And I'm not saying that we should all have guns, although I feel like all women should have guns. And no men should have any, but all women should. But that's just me. But I just think that a lot of the things that Americans have lost is very much due to the fact that the American government was misogynist and racist and did not want to give black people or women health care. And so the reason why all these first world countries have health care and or universal health care and we do not is literally because of racism, because men presented this racist, completely unscientific idea that we shouldn't bother giving anybody universal health care because black people are so quote unquote inferior, they're going to die out anyway. And so if nobody gets it, the white race will continue. Race, it's such a fucking construct. It's so fucking insane. But anyway, the idea somehow that black people will die out if they're not given health care. And so white people must suffer and sacrifice so that black people will eventually suffer and die because they'll die before white people. It's just, the idea is fucking insane. It's vile, it's despicable, but it's the reality. If you look it up, it is the fucking reality. The reason why we don't have health care is because white men did not want to give health care to everyone, specifically people of color. I could go on with all the injustices that people in America have to face simply due to racism. But that's not what this is about. This is about fashion. And so, as I was saying, the Black Panthers Party's fashion was the black leather jacket, the beret, and sunglasses. And it was very much a uniform and very much was a very powerful message. And I think that should be something that we continue to perpetuate. Women and minorities. Women are minorities, but anybody who doesn't have power, which is everyone except for white wealthy men, should continue to perpetuate these fashion moments and ideas of power. There is one very controversial fashion item, and this is something that I face a lot of hate towards. Again, a lot of people accuse me of dressing for the male gaze and being all about, this object for men to desire, whatever, right? And no one gives me credit for just appreciating fashion, understanding fashion, loving fashion. And this very controversial fashion piece is the miniskirt. The miniskirt was introduced in the 1960s, and it was supposed to be a symbol of liberation, but a lot of people, especially conservative people, specifically conservative women, see a miniskirt as a symbol of oppression, as opposed to liberation. And this kind of goes into within the 1960s and 70s, right? The women and their sexual liberation, having access to the pill, being able to determine what happens to their future, with their future, by knowing that they have some control and not being forced into being a wife or a mother before they're ready to settle down, right? This was a time during the civil rights movement when people were fighting to have rights and equal opportunities. And that includes sexual liberation. Men never have to worry about getting pregnant, whereas women, people who have a uterus, are very much in danger of having this threat. Whether it's their fault or not, whether they want to have a child or not, if you have a uterus, there will always be a risk of being impregnated after you go through that puberty stage. So on one hand, the miniskirt was seen as, again, like this sexual liberation, women taking their bodies back in this idea of bodily autonomy, right? We have Roe v. Wade. Whereas critics would argue that women's bodies are being now seen as commodities, and that in revealing your legs, you are playing into the male gaze. Here's the thing. Legs are not sexual. Shoulders are not sexual. Breasts are also not supposed to be sexual. They are literally for the consumption for the baby, all right? They are for babies. It is the patriarchy that has made every inch of a woman's body somehow sexual. And if you wear lipstick, you're drawing attention to your lips. If you, right. If you wear a low cut top or cleavage, you're drawing attention to your body, to your breasts, and you should be ashamed of yourself because men can see that it's my body, right? And then I had posted, it's been a few weeks now. I had posted this one reel in TikTok about this man following me in the grocery store. And I filmed him because I saw him down the other lane. He had been following me this whole time. And so I got my camera ready because I knew he would be crossing by to continue to follow me. What I wasn't expecting was him to stop and stare at me. And so that video was actually a lot scarier and creepier than I had originally anticipated it going to be. Which is, this is the reality. This is my life. This is why I don't really go out much. A lot of the comments were, there were a few that were, how dare he? This is awful. I'm so sorry you experienced this. There were a lot more comments that said, you must have had your ass hanging out, or you dress like a slut. What did you expect? Or what were you wearing? Or he probably saw your Instagram, or accusing me of having an OnlyFans and that he's a customer of mine. Like the most vile, horrible things. And today I got a really disgusting one where this man literally wished that I would wake up one day with this creepy guy over me and giving me a Cincinnati bow. I'm not going to tell you what that means. I had to look it up myself because I didn't know what it meant. And then I looked it up, and it's basically a form of unwanted sensual attack. So he wanted this person to do that to me. He wanted that to happen to me. Listen, it's hard. It's hard being a woman on the internet already. And it's you get attacked from everywhere. You get attacked by men, but the ones that suck the most are when you get attacked by other women. And it comes from the internalized misogyny. It comes from, women having their own insecurities and feeling like society is playing this role that you need to fit into. You need to be put into this box. And if you do anything that could be deemed sexual in any way, you have a low cut top, or you have a voice and you speak your mind, you're an educated woman. If you're beautiful, if you show off your body, you might not even show your body, but if your clothes are tight enough that, you can see your figure, the amount of women that will attack you and accuse you of what they deem to be awful, horrible things, like saying you are a sex worker, or you have, a spicy account, things like this. And while I have no problem with anybody who has those accounts or makes money doing those things, it's hurtful because they think those things are dirty and awful, and because they think so low of those people, and they are lumping you in, they're telling you that you are like those people and you have less value. Even though you are a person and a human, because you are beautiful, because you show cleavage, because you wear heels, because you are a person you are a woman on the internet, you somehow are less valuable to the world, and you deserve whatever happens to you. And that's the reality of being a woman on the internet. I know we've kind of segued off of fashion, but it all plays a role. What you put on your body, what you wear. You might be trying to send one message, and other people might deem it as something completely different because they are projecting their own insecurities and own inner hate and internalized misogyny onto you. And so you become the victim of their own self-hate, and it is exhausting. Nothing I can't handle, but I think about a lot of other women who experience this and have to endure this. And like I said, there was a very young woman in our neighborhood, 17 years old, and she's no longer with us because of people are awful. They're awful. Just because you're on the internet and you're anonymous doesn't mean that the words you say don't affect people. I'm fine, but I think about my neighbor a lot, and I think about the students I used to have and the horrible things that not only other people, other students and peers have said to them, but even adults. I remember when I was in 8th grade, and I was wearing this top. It was velvet, and it had a little keyhole thing here, and it had, I showed cleavage. I was 8th grade. I must have been, I don't know, 11? No. Yeah, I was 12. I was endowed. Shocking, I know. And every single time I wore that shirt, I got in trouble. And it wasn't even with my teachers. It wasn't with anybody that I knew. But this one teacher, she wasn't even my teacher, would grab me, pull me out of the cafeteria, and tell me how inappropriately I was dressed. "13. Because my little 13-year-old boobies offended her. She died of breast cancer, so, yeah. But anyway, boobies kill, I guess. But yeah, so the miniskirt, very controversial. But once again, controversial in the sense of it was showing off of throwing off the conservative feeling that, you know, women's bodies are objects and should be sexualized, and women saying, fuck you, I'm going to wear my mini skirt and I'm going to be fine with it. There today people still blame women for being attacked. Mini skirts aren't even that popular anymore. Although I love mini skirts, so what do I know? But yeah. I guess it's just, for me, it's upsetting because women can't win, you know. You know, I want to feel powerful and beautiful and sexy without being attacked for it. Not literally like physically attacked for it, but like people will see me feeling powerful and sexy and beautiful and will try to cut me down for it. It's wild. It's wild. But yeah. Finally, we have the 1980s, and the power suit comes in, and the power suit is mainly Giorgio Armani and Yves Saint Laurent, and they give women these big, powerful shoulder pads and tailoring, and this idea of women in the workplace, and this power and strength and professionalism. So again, you know, this power suit allowed women to navigate this, at the time and still today, male-dominated spaces by adopting traditionally masculine clothing, signaling authority and competence and strength and demanding attention so that her voice will be heard, right? What she has to say is important. So it also it challenged the norms by redefining what women could wear in the workplace, in professional settings. And it became a symbol. It became a staple for women like Kamala Harris and my girl AOC. And they often, and Clinton, right? They all wear these power suits to once again show unity and strength in the idea of this is a male-dominated space, and my voice and my ideas are just as important as anyone else's. And so that's what this clothing, this power suit symbolizes and signifies, which is fascinating. There was a Brooke Shields actually just went on a book tour, talking about the book she had just written about the horrible experiences she endured as a child, and just, if you know, you know. Anyway, throughout her interviews, she wore, like a power suit, and I had commented because somebody had posted it, and I was like, wow, I love how she's using this masculine imagery and taking strength from this image, this staple, this power suit, commanding the strength that she didn't have when she was younger. And somebody tried to argue with me, and they were like, well, yeah, but that's only if you believe that the masculine is powerful. And I'm like, I don't know where you have been your whole life, but we're living under the patriarchy. And by societal norms, that is the reality, is that when you see a power suit, a suit like that, it is masculine inherently and seen as strength and power. So that was what it was. Well, to me, it looks like she's in a schoolgirl uniform. Well, you're a fucking idiot. Sorry. Listen, you're allowed to have opinions and they're allowed to be wrong, but anyway, this has gone on way too long. I just wanted to touch upon a few things when it comes to history and politics, and some of the things that we wear that they might symbolize more than what you realize. You might be drawn to certain looks and not realize that you want to, you want that look. You want to be a part of that without realizing that it is telling you a message, that you want to be a part of this message. Maybe that's why I'm really drawn to leather jackets and berets. I don't know. But like, it's, I'm here to fight, and I am here for power and strength and unity and fighting for people's rights. And I love that fashion can do that. That fashion, clothing alone can give you this sense of strength and power and unity, right? That's why soldiers wear uniforms. That's why they all look the same, because they're all on the same team. And I just love that idea of being on the same team. I hate that we have to have teams. I hate that a lot of us are set back and fighting for rights that we used to have and no longer have. It's just fucking ridiculous to me. We're in 2025. But it's also important to talk about. It's also important to educate yourself and listen and see what you can do and how you can make the world a better place. That's what all of this is about, is making the world a better place and coming together and being kind and having courage. As my mother likes to quote Cinderella, have courage and be kind. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, what you think is one of the most powerful fashion statements. It could be something I mentioned. If you can think of something that maybe I might not have, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And I hope you enjoyed our Let's Talk Fashion. It's fun to kind of be back in that educator's seat, even though I don't have anyone in front of me, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. But thank you, truly thank you for spending time with me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, I will see you tomorrow. Until next time.